Hello. Good, everybody. Thanks for joining. Hi. Hi, YouTube. Hi, Twitch. Just make sure everything's in order. Looks like we're all good. Things are running. Well, thanks for joining me. Tonight, we're going to be continuing on with the short film. So, where are we at? We're making good progress. We've done a lot of good stuff. So we're going to be shifting gears, I think, into lighting tonight. That's going to be the plan. I don't think I'll turn this into an actual lighting tutorial. I think it's just going to stay as a live stream. I'll just talk about lighting and show you kind of my approach to setting up something a bit more complex like a short film. So hopefully you find this really, really useful. And as always, as a reminder, if you enjoy this and you'd like to see more of these live streams, please hit the like button and leave a comment for me on this video and subscribe to the channel. Those three things really go a long way to helping to promote the channel and get it in front of more people. So please consider doing that. And thanks for watching. All right, so it'd be great to get some feedback. I'd love to know what you guys have been thinking about these live streams. I know you're really enjoying me doing the short film, and I've gotten a lot of great feedback around that. But yeah, just in general, it's a totally different format from the edited tutorials that I usually do. And we're kind of, can tell it's taking a while to get the film done. So we've got quite a few of these left to go. But let me know if you're still happy with that and you're keen for me to continue. But let me know too if maybe it's not quite what you're after and you're hoping for something different. So anyways, let's get going. Let's get started. I'll open up my project and then I'll turn on. Let's see, what are we up to? This one. Just get the right file up real quick. Version 12. Yes. Perfect. All right. Hi, Patrice. I'm good. How are you? Welcome. Hi, James. Oh, this is your first live stream. Oh, great. Well, thanks for catching on. It's nice to have you. All right, let's turn off the screen starts tune and the splashback. And I'll turn on screencast keys so you guys can see what buttons I'm smashing. Hope everybody's doing well. I've got a new tutorial coming out tomorrow, by the way. So, tomorrow. Don't know what time it is for you. Stay tuned. All right. Well, we're doing good. We're doing good. Things are looking good. Got some good animation. Got some nice detail. We've got these wires now in our scene, which I think have helped out a lot. We still have some problems, like the floor isn't great. But I think overall, a lot of the stuff is good. Just having a quick review just to see what we're at with the film. And yeah, I think overall these shots are working. Like nothing's really bumping for me really that much. That's okay. That's all right. That works. Good. I kind of want to get a bit of handheld in some of these shots. Probably. Let me let's see if we can get it's Ian Hubert's site. I always forget. He's got such a good camera shake add-on. Do this. I don't want to get bogged down in it because I don't want to accidentally include it and then I'm not sure. I need to read the terms and conditions. Anyways, hi, KC. Hi, Chris. I like the live streams. It's good to see your methods of working. It helps to see all the steps for creating these awesome projects that you do. Thanks again. You're welcome. My pleasure. Thanks for letting me know. All right, let's start lighting. We're going to light tonight. We are going to light. Let's see where we're at. I'll just turn on my lights. So, okay, this is a rendered view of this HDR is what we've got in place. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off because we're not going to be using that HDRI. Do I have some... Oh, is this... How did I get... It's a bit unusual. Hang on. Do I have a bunch of lights already in this scene? I do. I do have a bunch of lights. All right, this was my test run, I guess. Do I want to keep this, or... I thought I had one that wasn't... I don't know. I'm going to delete these because I want to do this fresh for you guys. I want to actually do this for... I played around a bit the other day. See the location. This is all fine. Close all that off. Props, droids. These are all good. Can minimize all these. Okay, so we got this lights collection. If we turn this off, we pretty much have nothing seen. There is a little bit of something, but it's just coming from our droids and yeah, pretty blank slate. We will keep these on. I think they work pretty good for us as kind of like an overall thing. Also, I'm going to get rid of this stuff. We're going to do this. I'll show you what's going on with that. Bit of volumetrics in the scene. Okay, so there's a couple approaches and there's a couple challenges. When you're doing lighting, we can get rid of this. We don't need that anymore. So let's just get our view a bit cleaner. I'm going to get rid of my graph editor and I'll bring this down just so we can really see. I'm also going to turn off auto key and unlock my camera to view. We don't really need this. We'll do the volumetrics here first because I want to kind of set that up. So the first thing I want to do is set up, I'm going to set up my scene with what do I want in every shot. Okay, so what's the basic kind of setup that I want that's going to be for every single shot? Once I've got that, then what I can do is I can break out each of these shots as separate scenes so that when I render, I can have different lighting setups in each shot. And that'll make more sense as we go forward, but that's a really good way of approaching things in Blender because we got this sort of functionality of a live edit. We're able to like work out the timing of our shots, get everything just right. Sometimes, you want to cheat stuff. Like, remember at the beginning, we were kind of cheating the position of things on a per shot basis. So it was like and then the next shot, I'd move the character, into a new position. And if you render that straight out with motion blur, you're going to get some weird artifacts where suddenly you can get motion blur over that frame as you cut, right? Because the object is moving so quickly, moves from over here to over here instantly. And that's like going to create some crazy motion blur artifacts. So what you want to do is render these things kind of in isolation as opposed to rendering this all out as one go. So we're going to do that within different scenes. So I'm going to go ahead and rename this my master underscore scene. And I will save. I'm going to go save as, and I'm going to save this. We're going to use this lighting convention. So starting over our version count and then putting an L and then 01 for lighting 01. So I'm just going to save over that original one that we had. And let's get the base file set up and then we can go through into our separate scenes. So first thing I'm going to do is create some volumetrics because I want a bit of haze in this scene, like a bit of smoke. It's a really good lighting technique if you're doing live action shoot. Fill the room with a bit of smoke and your lights will just have a bit of density to it. The room has a bit of atmosphere, there's a bit of separation from the background. There's a lot of good things that happen. So we're going to create that here. So I'm going to go Shift A and I'm going to create a noise texture. And I'll drop this here. And then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to grab a color ramp. And then what I want to do is, I think we'll start with this. I'm going to grab a volume scatter node. All right. So again, we're doing all this for Eevee. We're going to be rendering an Eevee for the final. So that's why I'm just using the volume scatter node. It just works really well in Eevee. That's pretty quick to process and to render. So I'm going to plug this in. We'll lose everything. I'm going to drop my density down to like 0.1 maybe. It's a bit too much. 0.01. Yeah, that's pretty good. So a little bit of haze. Then I want to give that haze some shape. So I actually want it to look a bit like smoke, like we have a bit of smoke in our scene. So I'm going to take the factor and I'll plug the factor into this color ramp. And then what I'm going to do is come over here and I'll plug the color into the color density. I think color. Yeah, that's what I meant. Bold move, says Isaac Miller. Isaac, how are you? Long time no chat. Hope you're doing well, buddy. All right. Let's see. Just find a spot where the contrast is good enough that we can start to see some separation just in a still frame like this. I think this looks pretty good. Let's bring the scale down maybe. So these clouds are a little bit bigger. We go too small won't really work as well. Two, let's take it down to, let's take it down to 2. That'll look pretty good. Lighting and render stage for some portfolio stuff. Good things. Oh, that's cool. Oh, good timing. Yeah. Hopefully these tips will carry you a long way. I'm just going to push these a little bit further. You can go too far and you actually lose all the smoke. So just having a look. I'm kind of just watching in this zone right here. I think that works. Okay, now I want to have some motion to this smoke. The smoke needs to kind of have a slow undulation to it to make it feel real. So I'm going to switch from 3D to 4D. That won't change anything, but it gives me this extra control, the W value, which allows me to move the noise pattern without changing its scale or its detail or roughness or anything like that. It kind of helps you evolve the pattern. Similar to like if you had a mapping vector and we just moved it like on the Z or something. But all right, so let's we're gonna be changing this W factor, and I'm actually gonna do this with an expression. So I'm gonna type the pound symbol or the hashtag, depending on where you're from, and I'll type frame. So this is shorthand in Blender for create a driver. That's what the hashtag symbol's for, is creating a driver. And frame means it's a global variable in Blender that grabs the frame number that the playhead is at. So right now the frame number is 60, so it's going to grab that. So basically, as we hit play, this number will go up. So it's a way of evolving animation procedurally. So I can just hit multiply 0.01 maybe. If I just hit play, just have a look. It's going to be a little tough to see because it takes a minute for it to resolve smoke. But it's definitely moving. Might try 1.1, see what that looks like. Yeah, cool. I think it looks good. Might take my scale up a little bit. Down some, down, up. I don't know. Detail up, roughness up a little bit. If we go too far, it's going to lose its definition. So just need a bit more contrast in it. Too much. It's tough to get right. Sometimes you can't quite get it right, so you see a final render. All right, so now let's get the settings right. So our density and our anisotropy. Let's have a look at these guys. This will focus our lights kind of in the haze a bit. And let's see. I'll just keep it at 0. I think keeping it balanced right in the middle is actually going to look good. Let's turn this up to 0.02. And looks quite nice. It looks quite different from this shot to this shot, doesn't it? Why that is. That's not going to bother us. Hey, Unit 7, how are you? Welcome. Let's see. So, say, quick question. How do you switch to the dope sheet when you're editing the timeline? Oh, I don't know if there's a shortcut. Can you? You can Control Tab, and that sends you to the graph editor. Can you Shift Tab? Does that? Alt Tab? No. Yeah, if you're in the graph editor though, manually, like you go to the graph editor, you can control tab to, oh no, it's not taking me to the dope sheet. Oh, that's what it is. If you're in the dope sheet, you can control tab to the graph editor. So yeah, there might be a way, but I'm not sure. All right, this looks a little bit better, I think. Nice and dense. Be a little too dense. Yeah, it's a bit too dense. Let's play with this anisotropy a bit. No, we're gonna keep this anisotropy 0. I'll take the density down to 0.015, and we will work with that for now, and we'll get some lights in the scene. All right, now overall, we've got this here, the light hallway thing. I don't know if we want to use this. We might just want to start fresh with our own lighting setup. So let's take this, and I am going to turn it off for render. And in our lights collection, let's go ahead and start laying some things down. So I'm going to go Shift A. I don't think a sun lamp's going to do much for us because we're in such a closed environment. Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea. I mean, because it doesn't really make sense either. I was thinking it might be, it's sometimes a way to like quickly light a space or to get some stuff in, but let's try next. We're going to try an area light. And area light is like a rectangle kind of shape. So what we might be able to do is give this like the impression of like lights in a ceiling. And they also have really nice fall off. You can see how nice that looks. Really see the fog here. This is a good chance to adjust that scale. So you can see how we get that quite small. It actually looks a bit better. Actually, yeah, scale down, but detail and roughness up actually gives it a pretty realistic look. Okay, so net 7, so he's got Shift F12. So you do it. You could probably change it. I don't know. The keybinds. Isaac says, love to know a little bit more about light resolution samples and the difference between intensity and exposure if you end up chatting generally about CD lighting. Yeah, okay. This would be cool if we animated this. Let's use a few of these. I kind of like the way this looks. If it looks, does it look any... Where's the best place for it? Is it nice when it's kind of... Yeah, I think it is kind of nice when it's tucked right up in there. This is going to be just sort of like a general ambient lighting of our scene. We can also, yeah, let's scale it on the Y. Because if we have a look, this thing's actually got shape to it. It does sort of diffuse the light a bit more, but you can see like it doesn't create such harsh shadows. I don't know if this is what we want. Yeah, it's going to be much nicer with harsh shadows, isn't it? Keep it small. And what we'll do is just tuck it up a little bit in there. And we'll do a couple of these. So Shift D. Another one like down here, Shift D, grab Y. They're kind of just evenly spaced. Now we have to bear in mind there's a light limit in Eevee. Turn off the control so we can just see a real clear view. Might switch this one over to the 3D viewport and pop out and just look at this with that. We've got a view that we can use to like, you know, place things. We don't need to be that big, so we really make this our focus. All right, this is cool, very moody. Now, Also, just as a reminder, we've got ambient occlusion, bloom, and screen space reflections turned on. Now, what else do I want for this? Let's have a look down the other way. So make sure I'm not locked into my camera. Now the other way, and let me grab this one, Shift-D, grab Y, and I will place this somewhere down here, Shift-D, grab Y. I like how this is hitting those wires. I wonder if I could get any more of that. No. All right. Now, let's get some color in here. I like that these are kind of neutral. Let's add in a point light. And I'll turn the, oops, turn the power up. And let's just move this around the space and see what kind of interesting things we can get. Like what happens when it goes inside these vents? Do we get anything cool? Like, looks like there's a bit of some light leak. Oh, look, we've got one of those broken geometry bits there. Need to fix that. One over here. No. We could make this like a red, maybe. Could look cool. What happens if we make this one an area light? It's pretty cool. Oh yeah, that's a good question, Chris. Do we need volumetric shadows turned on as well? Yeah, maybe. Probably not actually, because it's just a fine smoke. Like it's not really gonna. Like if it was a proper dense cloud, then yeah, I would want to have volumetric shadows. But if we add some actually like plumes of smoke, then we should. But these are kind of cool. I'm a little wary of this only because I know that we'll end up. We have one of these on each of these. Could cause issues. You just do like a few like this. I mean, that's not a few, it's still a lot. Pretty cool. Like imagine animating this. So rad. Okay, I don't know what my max count is on lights, so just have to be mindful that we're going to hit that at some point. See already like how cinematic this is looking just by having a little bit of, punctuation, some light that's, doing some cool stuff for us. Do you feel like these alcoves could use something? And we're going to put more lights too, like in the individual shots. Like when we actually get into these shots, we're going to light them individually a bit because these areas are going to be really dark. This is just our ambient. Okay. Like it'd be nice to have a bright light off around the corners for these, possibly. Grab my area light that's here, and I'm going to shifty to duplicate that. I'll just bring it around, scale it up, X, making it like a big proper square. Bring it down in my scene, and then rotating it up, and then blasting it, making it like an orange maybe, I don't know. See how the size changes the way like it behaves against the specular and stuff. It's a point light. This in the X, full stop, and actually zoom in on it. Do 1000. Yeah, I don't know. It's doing much for us. That's a bit better. It's kind of interesting. Cool it off a little bit. We want to start introducing a bit of color into these lights. I think it's nice. It just separates it out a little bit. And when we come down on shots like this, it just helps to kind of bring out that corner, you know? Whereas if it's too hot, it's not gonna work. Chris Smith asks, so this isn't counted as volumetrics. No, it is volumetrics technically. So it is actually a 3D volume. The smoke is a 3D volume in the 3D space. Light is hitting it. It's just that I'm saving the render time basically. I'm just saving the computation by turning volumetric shadows off because I've got this smoke so thin. You know, it's not really dense enough. It's gonna cast some shadows technically, but the effect of it is gonna be more just it'll just kind of wash out the lights a bit. So it's not gonna necessarily look good. So I'm just making the choice to kind of ignore that for now. All right, so we've got that, which looks pretty good. I might pull this off the green a little bit and more into the blue, I think. There, maybe. That. And let's look at the other end. We need to do something like that over here. So back to my 3D viewport. And we could just duplicate this. So take this light, Shift A to duplicate, and then grab it over here. And the idea of this light again is to really highlight the fact that there's a turn there. So you can see if we jump back into the camera, get one of these later shots where we look down the hallway. See how we can really clearly see now that the hallway turns. Good. Just helps clarify what's going on. Now we can't see the little guys at all down there. Do some individual lights, I think, for that. All right, let's go back to our world shader. And I just want to play with the anisotropy now, just have a little bit of a look at setting up a bit. Yeah. Yeah. Nice. All right, I'm going to save. Now, I don't know if I need to do anything else for my overall lighting. I think I might be happy with individual lights at this point. Although for the overall lighting, it'd be good to get this shot to work at least. Because this is kind of our big wide. We can't really hide any lights in the scene because the volumetrics is going to pick it up. Kind of see this one sort of a little bit gives us away. So let's grab which light is directly over these guys. This one. I'm going to duplicate this one. Grab it on the Y and kind of bring it over here. And I'm just going to have a play with what this could look like. There's not a lot of methodology to what I'm doing right now, too, by the way. It's all about just kind of creativity and painting with the space. I mean, I am thinking about stuff like, making sure that I think it looks like there's a door there, doesn't it? I'm trying to bring attention to the key focal points of my shot. I'm trying to enhance the mood and the feel. But a lot of that stuff is, you kind of just have to feel your way through it. It's interesting making the size big. Just helps to lift the darker areas a bit. A bit too much though. This is what I mean. Like you can light a shot really nicely in one, what looks good here. When I get to here, it doesn't. So I want to move this back, you know, but now I'm like changing that other shot. So that's how we're going to break these out as into separate files. But if we can come up with an overall basic rule set, then that's going to make a big difference. That's kind of nice the way it hits the front of those guys. It is blasting us though. Sorry, I missed a lot of chat. Let's see. Oh, Waffle Impact says you're my favorite Blender YouTuber. Like literally. Oh, thanks, Waffle. Appreciate it. Unit7 says, sub my brothers. I'm back. Oh, sup. As in like hello. Every time we were to subscribe to the channel, which is a great reminder. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It'd be great to see that number go up tonight. Chris Smith says, I'm making my own animation at the moment, and your videos are providing great inspiration. Awesome. That's exactly what I'm hoping to hear. Yeah, so I feel like, see how this light blows out everything here? Like it just doesn't help. I mean, like we are probably gonna end up with, like if I duplicate this and like bring it over and grab Y, where's it? Let's focus on it. Where's our little dude? Oh, he's back this way. Or it's a tiny view here. Where is he? Oh, he's back further. So just as an example, turn this down, maybe make it a bit of a blue color, give him a bit of a rim. I mean, the haze is all right, I guess. It's either too dense or we've got, or it's just these lights that are blowing things out here. I think it's these up close ones just being a bit too strong. Where are they? This one. So these two. Other options, we could put them up here somewhere, like send some light down, like in shafts. Would be cool. We should get some light shafts going. We get the light to kind of intersect with something, we'll get a shaft. If we turn on, maybe this is a good point to turn on volumetric shadows. No, yeah, that's true, because we don't need the shadows on the volume. Like you'll still get light rays and stuff. Few points of interest there. Kind of cool getting the line right there. But it's probably, we're kind of, I think we are in that territory of individual shot lighting. Okay, cool. All right, so we're going to lock this off as our sort of master setup. I'm going to create a new collection within my lights collection. I'll call this my master light setup. And I'm going to select all these guys, come over to move viewport, hit M to move, lights, master light setup. That'll move them all in there for me. And now I can create a new collection. And I can use this for individual shots if I want. Now, before we break out into separate scenes, there's a couple of things I just want to just think through, because I think once I set this up, they're all going to be dependent upon it. Actually, I'm not entirely sure about this. We should double check what exactly we get, we don't get. So I turn my tile size up to 16. And samples up to 256. Help things a little bit. The other thing we need to do with all of our cameras is turn on depth of field as well. So let's go ahead and do that now. So in under depth of field, I don't know if you've got this as well, but I've set my high quality slight defocus on and my jitter camera. And that's all good. I'm going to go to my cameras tab and turn on depth of field. And what I can do is turn cameras back on. And this camera, where is it? There it is. A couple things I could do. I could give myself the limits, show limits, and this will give me this this thing here, which allows me to change my focal point. So if I or it shows me, it's a representation of it. So if I change this focal distance, so this is good because now I can just like make sure. Can I see if I could grab it? I think there is a way of grabbing it. Oops, 35. Where'd it go? Focal distance. And I like to use this more than, I'm going to turn up my clip start so I can see through stuff a bit easier. I'd like to use this more than an object because I find that sometimes it gives you really erratic results if you go with object. So I'm just going to focus to this point, and then I'm going to turn my f-stop down a little bit. I'm just holding down shift to make the increment small. And I just kind of want to see what's going to look good. I find that Blender with this, the way it renders and stuff, really tiny f-stops are really what look good. I'm going to set it to 8 blades, maybe 0.3. That looks pretty good. So we have a little bit of out of focus here, close to frame, and then way in the distance we're getting a bit out of focus, which is nice. I just want to create more separation. Nice work, Unit 7. Now, let's do a test. This is our master scene. I'll show you my plan and we'll see if it works. All right. Why don't we just click this button here, new scene. And then what I want to do is create a linked copy. This will make a new scene called master scene.001, and it will be linked with our original master scene. So everything should be pretty much the same. So if we make a change in master scene, it will update here. So for example, if I select this guy, of course I just selected Shift A, Mesh, UV Sphere, and I switch over to master scene at 1, we still have that UV sphere. Now what I wonder is if I grab the UV sphere in master scene at 1 and delete it, and go back to master scene, is it's gone in both? Yeah, cool. All right. And then what about render settings? If we go to Master scene 01, and I change this from 1080 to 1000. This should also, okay, so that doesn't. So render settings are individual. So that's good to know. So we need to make sure we got our render settings set up correctly. Although we're not going to render out of those settings because my plan is go over here and add the compositor, use nodes. What we're actually going to do is we're going to grab each of these within here and we're going to set up a render setup for each of them. Well, yeah, that's right. One of the things that is important though, if I go to master scene and change it to 447, let's go 446 and back 447. Okay, so that also is unique for each. That means we can set unique start and end frames for each of these shots, which is just what I want. Perfect. Okay, cool. This will allow us to do handles, which is a really helpful thing because we're actually going to export this in a way we can do an edit if we needed to. Okay, perfect. Well, what I'll do is I'm going to use these camera numbers as the different scene numbers, just so it's really clear to me what we're doing. So I'll just double click this, copy it, and come up here and paste. So now I've got that camera. So I've got my master scene, and now I've got the individual camera. Now, if I add stuff in this scene, this is the other thing to check. If we add stuff in this scene, so we'll go light, area light, and bring this right here. Let's turn it way up so we can see it. And I go back to the master scene. Okay, so it's still going to be there. So that's not what I actually want because I want to be able to have different lights in each scene. So maybe I do need to have an unlinked scene. Unless there's some specific, no. This isn't a problem though, because it's just annoying if I want to make changes to something else, but I don't expect that I will. I could always just relink. I know. Can I, when I make this light, can I go F3? Oops. Bum, bum. Blender died. All right. File, recover, autosave. Today, 19. The last one we had, 24. Not the autosave. I mean, I saved it pretty. No, it's not this. But on a side note, this is cool. Check this out. It's the hallway with the dot matrix printer style rendering. I don't know. I just was experimenting. Okay. Let me go to edit preferences and I'll just go to my system no, file paths, temporary files. Let's copy that temporary file directory. I'll come over here. I'll go to my temporary file directory. I'll order it. Done. Oh, I got a crash log. That's cool. All right, what does it look like we've got? So the last autosave that was useful was at 128. That wasn't. So we need to just go back to here, which I would have saved at what time? 20:07. Oh, that's not bad at all. 8:07. It's like no lost time at all. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, we just hadn't created the new scene. So that's right. I was going to create a new scene, linked copy, go into the link copy scene, turn on render view, go here, Shift A, create a light, make it really bright so I can see it, and then F3. That's what caused us to crash last time. Make local selected objects. And what I want to do is select object, objects and data. All right, so I've just made this thing local. Now if I go to the master scene, crashed again. All right, so I have to be careful then about this. If I'm gonna actually set up a workflow that uses what about it is killing it? Is it too many lights or is it switching around to unrendered view? I don't want to be nervous about this. One more time. Copy. The UV sphere. Let's do something that's not a light. So it's in both. And now this, let's go F3, make local, selected objects and data. Now it's local. I'm going to get out of render mode just to be sure. All right, so now what I can do is I can move this guy here. He still moves there. Okay, so that doesn't actually do anything. Is there any other local, or maybe unlink, recursive unlink? No. But delete it here and go back to master scene. It's going here as well. Okay, so that's not going to work. We're not going to do things that way. The other option is we create a new one and we just copy the settings. Make a full copy. Add a new empty scene. We copy the settings. Yeah, so we go full copy. Now it's completely different. Like nothing is linked. In this particular case, I can come in and make individual tweaks. But it's not going to help us because if I do an individual light here to light this scene, so I create my area light. Right. Volume. All right, so now I've lit my first shot. All right, go back, it's not going to be done. But if I make any tweaks to the lights in this shot, then this is going to help me out. What about collections being on or off? I wonder if that... Let's get rid of this scene and we'll try one more thing. We'll make a linked copy. And I'm going to hide the master lighting setup in this one. Okay, they're still on. And if it's hidden, it's not going to render, right? So that's what the end result is there. And yep. Let me actually just turn off the compositor or sequencer so that we don't get lost. Sorry about this. Just me experimenting live here, figuring this out. So I turn my sequencer off, render image again. I'll just make sure we do get this. Yeah. Cool. Oh, and we're getting those things too. Need to get rid of those things from our master file. Cool. All right. Well, that works then. So what we can do then, all right, so here's the next thought. We set up a collection for each shot. And then we can make linked versions of the scene and turn off the collections we don't need, which I think is a good idea. So for example, what I can do, because it's just lighting setups that are going to be going on and off. Everything else stays the same. So what we can do is I can copy this, come here, paste that. And now this is going to be all the lights that I need just for this particular shot. And then when I make a linked, eventually what I'll do is I'll split all these out into separate link scenes before we do our render. And then what I can do is I can delete my markers and have handles. That'll work. That'll work. Okay. Cool. Sounds like a good plan. What do you think? How's everybody doing? Well, let's see. Patrice is asking, have you ever used the photographer add-on by Xiaofan? No, I haven't. I tend not to use add-ons, mostly because I do a lot of tutorials and I'm trying to always make them beginner friendly, and I don't want people to have to bother downloading or activating add-ons for, beginner tutorials. But okay. Well, I'm about ready to wrap things up for tonight, but before we quit, we'll go ahead and start a little bit. We'll get some lighting going. So I'm gonna go ahead and light this particular shot. So we've lit the sort of general space. Now I'm gonna think about this shot, just this shot. And I need to bring more attention to our little guys because I feel like this is a bit they're too dim. They're the focal point of our scene and we can't even see them. So I'm going to add in a maybe a point light to start with. And I can turn the power of it up. I can turn down how much it affects the volume and specular. It's helpful. If I want this light to not create any kind of fog. Now I'm going to use an area light actually, and I'll actually just delete it and go Shift A area light, so it actually calls it an area light. And the reason for that is because an area light shines in a certain direction, and that can be very useful for this. I'm going to turn down that, and let's get him in position and think about how we want to light this. So we just need to bring attention to these guys. That's it, really. We could motivate this light, tuck something in here. Kind of like what we were doing earlier, actually. We could make this maybe a bit of an orange and like boost it. That will, cast some nice shadows. Actually, that could be kind of nice. What if we cast some shadows up the wall? Like, what would that look like? How could we do that? That's kind of nice. A bit dramatic, Other options, turn the volume off so we can hide the light. And then turn my handles on so I can We're tucking it back a bit better so that it's not so glary on that section. Turn the volume up a little bit, maybe. Not worrying about that shot. All right, let's hit a little bit of rim. So the general idea in lighting is you're gonna have a 3-point setup. So you have like a key light, a fill light, and a rim light. So the key light is really gonna bring light onto your subject. The fill light kind of balances out that dark side of the face, so the dark side of the robot there when you lift it up. And a rim is just gonna catch the outline. And they don't disappear into the background. You can see it disappears right now into the hallway. So if I add a point light now and pump that one up, and drop this. Like for example, this one I could turn it off specular, and it's just going to light up the volume. That could separate them, but I think specular is going to be our friend because this is the best way to hit the side of their robot heads. These shots are tricky because you've got so much reflection and so many things that are going to kind of get in the way of allowing us to hide our lights without having to like motivate them. Thankfully, we've got these alcoves, so we can just be clever about it and hide them. If they're all kind of orange too, like that does help tie it all together. It feels like it's sort of like it's coming from somewhere. That makes sense. It's a bit cohesive. With all this, it would be good to get some blue into this shot. I'm becoming mindful that it's getting very, very orange. So that does make me want to do something else. I think maybe pull the saturation down. I don't know. I mean, the other option is what if we just made these like normal lights? Like this. Kind of kills some of the mood though, doesn't it? I do like how they contrast with the blue eye. All right, let's try and put a bit of blue into this now. Let's add in another area light. I'm gonna go for a blue tint on this one. I'm gonna bring this one just off camera. Size down so it really like hits the specular and like pinpricks on things. Turn the volume down a little bit so it's not so hazy, that it suddenly blows out the shot. Isaac asked a good question. Can you make a light ignore certain objects in Blender? Not that I know of. I think there might be functionality for it in Cycles, but not in Eevee. But generally speaking, I don't believe so. I don't think there's light layers. Dervishari asks, can you give me any tips for using 3D objects to look good for a film? Lots of detail. That's the main thing. Using photographs as your textures can help a lot too. So trying that. We're getting spam on Twitch. Sorry, Twitch. That's kind of nice, like getting a bit of a blue rim. It's kind of nice. Key is that we don't want to draw too much attention away from our character. And I really wanted it on the floor, if I'm honest. Just off camera. It looks pretty good. You can see how it just kind of lifts the frame a bit. Now it does bear the question of, why not introducing a little bit of color into these top-down lights, which might look good, like if those have a hint of blue on them, since we've got so much orange going. And it's these first ones, I think. I can select all of them, hold down Alt, and click Color. And then I can set a color. Doing it for all of them? No. Hold down Alt. No, it didn't work. Copy the hexadecimal. I don't know. I think I like white a little bit better. I'm going to introduce that color a bit more later on. Let's lift these lights up a touch. Happens. Get rid of it. It really looks cool. Down. Need to turn these guys down. I'm going to hold down Alt and drag this. It should control all of them. Reminds me of that spot in Empire Strikes Back where Luke gets his hand cut off. Spoilers. What if we turn the volume down? Like, so it's just a bit of ambient light. All right, so as the shot progresses, our eyes focus on this front guy, and we're really losing him where these lights are placed. So I might grab these two. Let's bring them forward. Actually looks pretty good. That allows me to get in there and get some blue light in the shot. I could literally do this all day. He's probably sitting there like, dude, say something. But I got nothing to say, man. Oh, that's cool. Look at that. That's nice. Distracts from a shot. Sure does look cool. These wides are always, always, always the hardest to light because you just have so few options because you're so far away from your subject. And I feel like this light's doing much for us. If we hide one directly behind them. Oh, yeah. Actually kind of tempted by this. Doesn't make any sense. Like, there's nothing motivating that. I mean, what do you guys think? Can I get away with this? Trying to place it like right at the point where they are at the beginning of the shot. It's probably a bit ridiculous. Let's soften those shadows a little bit. Isaac says, you make one of the bots a light source. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Oh, Mark. Mark says, damn, I watched your storyboard breakdown in Blender. Now seeing it come to life is just amazing. Oh, it's cool. Thanks, man. All right, let's shift a light point light. And let's put it right here at the front. Brighten things up a bit. And I make it blue. I'm just curious. I'm having a look at like if I did make one of these guys a light source, you know, and then like parent it. You need to solve this part right here. I think I can get away with this. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. It'd be fun to have like some steam or somewhere in this shot, like kind of like shooting up, you know? I like how I like how cinematic it feels, like the shadows and stuff. All right. I think it's pretty good. I'll probably revisit it a bit more, but turn off the master light setup. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Cool. Awesome. So now what we'll do is when we get to this shot, we could just duplicate this set. We'd probably just turn this off and then light fresh. I think that's what I'm thinking we'll do. I think it's pretty epic. What do you guys think? Epic? You like it? Getting there. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. I think that's a pretty awesome place to land things. So thanks for joining me, everybody. That was really fun. Fun to finally get to the juicy part. It's really fun doing lighting and stuff. So, uh, like I said, what we're doing is really kind of working through the whole pipeline for this opening scene to kind of figure it out. You don't necessarily have to like finish out a scene like this before you move on to the next one when you're doing animation. But I think in our case, it's probably a good idea. But it's going to look really good. I'm pumped about this. I can't wait to do a bit of compositing on it. Throw on a bit of grain, film grain, and a little bit of vignetting, maybe some chromatic aberration. Really good. Thanks for joining me, everybody. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your night or day or wherever you are on the planet. Hope you're doing well, staying safe. Appreciate all of you. Thanks again for joining me. I will catch you in the next live stream. Until then, have a fantastic rest of your week. See ya.